NBA legend, Lakers legend, two-time NBA champion, number one overall draft pick in 1978, Mychal Thompson. Enjoy. We're back. We are here with NBA champion, two-time NBA champion, number one overall pick in 1978, Mychal Thompson, Lakers legend. How are you?
Doing good. A little nervous today because all of a sudden, fellas, we got ourselves a cute little series going on right now, so I'm a little concerned about what's going on.
I thought you were nervous because you were talking to us. This is a big show here, the distraction on Fightful.
Yes.
I thought that's why you were nervous. But okay, I get it. The Lakers are – I think the Lakers will be fine.
Well, I hope you're right. They need somebody else to step up. They just can't rely on two men to carry them this whole series because Denver had a nice 1-2-3 punch the other night with Jeremy Grant contributing to Jokic and Murray's production. So the Lakers got to find someone who could give them like 20 points to help out LeBron and AD.
Yes. This is a very unique podcast, Michael, because I'm pretty sure this is the only podcast in the world where NBA speak is like welcome on a wrestling podcast. So we will actually do the full Lakers Nuggets deal, I think. But this is made for you, I feel, Michael. You seem at home already. This is very good.
Say that again?
Oh, Joseph was just saying that our podcast is basically all like NBA talk. We're a wrestling podcast masquerading as a basketball podcast. We'd much rather talk about basketball than wrestling.
Well, we could talk about both. You know me. I'm an expert in both those fields. So believe me, bring up wrestling anytime you guys want to, because I love talking about it.
That's right. That's why we had you on. You sent out a tweet last week calling Eddie Kingston, comparing Eddie Kingston's trash talk to The Rock, and saying how AEW has all these great trash talkers, and saying that WWE really only has like MVP. Were you surprised at like the reaction you got from that tweet?
Well, I guess I shouldn't be, because at first when AEW came on the scene, or I heard they were coming on the scene, I said to myself, I'm not watching that. That's going to be like minor league wrestling. But I said, you know what, I'll give it a shot. I'll see what AEW is all about. And the first show I saw, I was like, oh my goodness, these guys and these girls at the AEW, talk about personalities and the gift of gab and the daring and what a daredevil wrestling moves that these people do, all the flips over the top of ropes, jumping off the top of cages. AEW wrestlers, man, these guys are a level above the WWE. And I still watch the WWE. I still watch Raw and SmackDown. I tape them. I say 2-3 hours of Raw. I basically watch 20 minutes of it. I just fast forward through all the boring stuff and watch my favorite, Kevin Owens or MVP and the Hurt Business, something like that. So, but AEW, man, wrestler after wrestler comes in the ring. They know how to talk trash. They know how to wrestle. They know how to put on a show. They've got charisma. MJF and all these guys, Chris Jericho, the Champion, and the Elite, and all these guys. These guys are amazing. And the AEW, I'm hooked on it now. I don't fast forward through that. I watch every minute of it.
That is tremendous. So I wanted to ask, this podcast is pro Eddie Kingston. And so that tweet made me very happy to see that praise. I assume you're new to Eddie Kingston, right? Like you've just been introduced to him through Dynamite. Talk a little bit about meeting that character, because it's a pretty authentic presentation of wrestling, right?
Yeah, I had never really heard of Eddie Kingston before. Then when I saw him on AEW, and I said, man, this kid's got it. He's got the charisma. He knows how to talk. He's like The Rock. The Rock was very smooth on the mic. He knew how to connect with the audience. And Eddie Kingston has that street talk, that talk, and he just sounds so genuine. And when he talks, he just has that great delivery. Yeah, he might not have the body of The Rock, but he doesn't need it. When you think about all the great trash talkers in the past, all the great wrestlers with mic skills, you think of Dusty Rhodes and how he sounded like a street preacher when he would get on the mic and do his promos. And Eddie Kingston has that same kind of skills, those same kind of talents, where he can just get up there and he captivates you the way he commands an audience and commands the microphone. Man, he is good. Every time he comes on, I can't wait to hear what he has to say.
Did you watch the Kingston and Moxley match last night?
Yeah, I watched that, of course. Everybody knew Moxley was going to win and retain the title. But Kingston always puts on a good fight. He's good in the ring. He does great ring work. And I was looking forward to that. And, every now and then they should let the belt change hands more often. I would love to see Kingston hold on to the belt because, Moxley's kind of like a rough, blue-collar type champion. And he tries to come across as a tough guy on the mic, but for me, it doesn't work. I just think that the belt needs to be on a champion who just knows how to, just rile up the audience even better. A guy like Kingston, a guy like MJF, they should be holding the belt because they just get you going one way or the other. You either hate them or you love them.
Yes, I co-sign all of this. Michael, before you came on, I was fine with Moxley as champ. I have now changed my mind. I agree. MJF or Eddie Kingston as champ. Yes, please. I'm with you, Michael. Yes.
Yeah, when Chris Jericho held the belt, I thought it was better. I don't know why they don't put it back on him because, he's got that delivery, he's got that personality, he's got that charisma, he's got that presence in the ring. Moxley's a tough guy, a blue-collar guy who will fight you anywhere like a construction worker type guy. But I don't know. I just think the champions should always have that flair, like a Ric Flair, the guy that when he gets on the microphone, you just can't wait to hear what he has to say.
We were hoping this would be like a big Eddie Kingston celebration, and he would have won last night. And we were just going to throw a big party with you, maybe get Eddie Kingston to jump in on the show as well. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. But we love Eddie Kingston on the show. I want to get your thoughts on another trash talker, another friend.
Yeah, you know what? You guys should get him on the show. Then I'll say something derogatory about him. Then he can just kill me on the mic.
I will shoot him a message. I will say Mychal Thompson wants you to shoot on him on our show, but it can only be on our show, and we'll set this up.
Yeah, I'd love for him to just trash me. Boy, he's good at doing that.
I want to get your thoughts on another trash talker and a friend of the show, Ricky Starks. Can you bury him, please?
Yeah, he's good. Ricky's good. He's got the physique. He gets on the microphone and he knows how to agitate his opponent. He comes across in a good way. So I like Ricky Starks. But I like it better when he's out there with Taz. Taz really has that gift of gab and knows how to promote a match and promote his wrestlers. Ricky Starks and Brian Cage and these guys. But Ricky's all right. But he's not Eddie Kingston, but he's good. He's good enough. I like to listen to him talk.
Okay, it wasn't a full burial, but we'll take that for now.
I'll message him and say you're not better than Eddie Kingston. He'll take that personally.
Oh yeah, definitely tell him that. Yeah, tell him that nobody's better than Eddie Kingston on that stuff on AEW.
So you mentioned a few of the guys that you enjoy still in WWE. We wanted to talk a little bit. Your phrasing was trash talk, right? Like, who are the good trash talkers left in WWE? Talk a little bit about like the disconnect with modern WWE promos, right? Because it's a thing of fans talk about a lot, where it doesn't feel genuine to people. So is that where you were coming from with that tweet?
Yeah, I grew up, or not grew up, but I was a grown man by then. But I think about the WWF, now WWE, from the 80s and 90s, when Raw was a can't miss show, because like every segment, every match, they would bring another guy out who just had the personality and the charisma to connect with the audience. Stone Cold Steve Austin would be on, Triple H, Kevin Nash, and the NWO would come on, and the Legion of Doom and all these guys, and the Godfather and all these guys would come on, along with The Rock was a young up and comer. It was like in Raw back in those days, had every segment was a can't miss segment. But now you watch Raw and these guys are all working hard. I understand that they've got a job to do, but I grew up in an era when today's current wrestlers would all be mid-carders. They wouldn't be main eventers. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And it's kind of turning too much of a cartoon show, like this thing with with Bray Wyatt and this fun house playhouse thing he's got. I mean, what is that? It's geared towards like 10 and 12-year-olds now. Too much. I don't know. That's just my thought about it. It's like watching a kiddie show instead of watching that tough show that Raw used to be 20, 30 years ago.
I think your taste is probably made pretty clear by your Twitter profile photo, right, with the Horseman. There was no Firefly Funhouse business with the Horseman, right? Like, it was a very different sort of stylistic approach back then. I think that's what a guy like Eddie Kingston or Jericho, as you mentioned, kind of brings back with AEW, right?
Right. AEW has rough and tough rough-and-tumble wrestlers out there. It's not a cartoon show.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a kiddie show. There's a bunch of tough guys who put their bodies on the line and are able to talk trash to back it up. That's what you get from AEW. It doesn't come across as a cartoon show, which the WWE has turned too much into, for the most part. You still have some good guys in the WWE, but it's not as tough and as mean as it used to be.
You're not a fan of the paternity angle that's going on with Seth Rollins right now, I take it.
No, I've never been into the Seth Rollins, this stuff going on with the Monday Night Messiah and all this stuff, and the Rey Mysterio family feud going on with him. When that comes on, I just fast forward right through that. I didn't even pay attention to that. And so that doesn't captivate me. Now, obviously, it probably captivates other people. That's why they continue to push it. But for me, no, I would say my best segments on Raw is when the Hurt Business comes on, and then this new thing with Retribution. I mean, what is that? What is that stuff? I mean, come on, that's just ridiculous. So, but the Hurt Business is the one that make me stop and watch. I do like Miz and Morrison; they're funny, and then this Monday night, what is this thing they have going on now with Shane McMahon and the Underground stuff? I mean, come on, I can't do that.
Okay, I wanted to. By the way, I co-sign all of this. This is the best podcast we've ever done. Thank you, Michael. This is great. So, I did want to ask you, like, how far back does your fandom go? Like, is this because you're still super into pro wrestling, and that's awesome. Like, we knew you were a fan, but it's clear just from this what we've done already that you're like way in. Probably watch more than me, Michael. When I have a podcast about this, that's very embarrassing for me. But you're way in. How far back does your fandom go?
When were you guys born? Jeremy and Joe, what year were you guys born in?
Well, I'm a 90s kid. Jeremy is 80s. So we're a little bit younger, but it's fine, Michael. You can be comfortable here. It's fine.
Yeah, you guys are babies, man. I'm 65, so I grew up. I started watching wrestling. I started watching wrestling in the late 60s, early 70s. Probably from guys. Well, you guys are wrestling fans. Maybe you heard of Wahoo McDaniel. You ever heard of him?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Jack Briscoe, Harley
Yes.
Race, all these guys. That's who I grew up watching in the Bahamas when I was just a 10, 12-year-old. So I was into wrestling since way back when in the 60s. Bruno Sammartino and all the greats. So I've seen them all. So I'm way ahead of you guys. That's the era I grew up in. That's the kind of tough guy wrestlers I grew up with. And to see it now go towards these guys come around now who are a bunch of pretty boys who basically would have been just beginners or open type wrestlers, not main carders like you see today. So that's why I'm spoiled, because of the era that I grew up in watching way back in the 60s and the 70s, man, when wrestling was, that was tough back then. But today, it's more of a cartoon show for the most part. So
you mentioned guys like Dusty Rhodes, Ric Flair, Harley Race. You like a lot of the promo stuff from then. We have a question we ask everybody here on the show. Bret Hart or Shawn Michaels? Who are you rocking with between those two?
Oh, Shawn Michaels, man. The Heartbreak Kid, he used to have one of the best introductions come out with, with his music, his dancing, his posing. So, Bret Hart's an all-timer, but I was never a Bret Hart guy. Even though I'd watch him, but Shawn Michaels, man, he had the look. He could talk trash. He had great mic skills, and he had the super kick, and he had the music, and the ladies, and the hair, and everything. So Shawn Michaels is one of the all-time greats.
That stings, Michael. That really. We were going well. I accept your answer. Your answer is fine, but it does sting. I'm going to be honest. I must say it does hurt.
I mean, it always used to irritate me when Bret Hart would say, "I'm the best there ever was, the best there is, the best there ever will be." No, I don't think so, Bret.
That's what Jordan did all the time, though. Bret Hart was just.
Jordan backed it up. Jordan backed it up. You can't put Bret Hart above Hulk Hogan or Ric Flair or Harley Race or Bruno Sammartino or The Rock. Come on, or Triple H or the Four Horsemen. No, you can't do that.
Oh, we've got to put Bret Hart over Triple H.
Yeah, well, we have to. It's the rules. I'm sorry.
No, I don't think so. Because Triple H, he was funny. He could talk trash. He had the physique. So I think Triple H was a bigger attraction because, when they had the NWO with him and Six Pack and who else was in that? Who else was in the NWO? Randy Orton and Who else is in that? Oh, the Road Dogs. Man, those guys were great. They were funny and they were talented.
Yes, there were many factions involved there. You are correct. But so I did want to ask. So Jordan was just mentioned here by Jeremy, which was unnecessary. I don't know why I went with Jordan, but I'm going to just go on that route. So during your NBA career, were there any other guys that were wrestling fans too that we are not aware of their fandom? And like, was you following along during that time at like the height of your NBA career? I was interested in this.
Oh yeah. During my NBA career, I followed it as closely as ever since I was a kid. When I was for the Portland Trailblazers, every Saturday night they had Portland wrestling on the local wrestling show on 11 p.m. at night. And back then I used to stay up and make sure and watch that every Saturday night. The local wrestlers out of Portland, and they had some great wrestlers in Portland too. Roddy Piper came out of there. Playboy Buddy Rose, Stan Stasiak, Tough Tony Bourne. They had some great wrestlers that come out of the local area up there in Portland, Oregon. Other guys in the NBA who were into wrestling as much as I was, I don't think so. I'm sure they knew about him, but I don't think they were addicted to wrestling as I was back in the 80s. I think I might have been the biggest wrestling fan in the NBA back then.
Got you. Okay.
Would you have done wrestling if the Lakers had cleared it, or if anybody had cleared it? Because we saw like Rodman and Malone do it, and they did this right after the NBA Finals. If you were asked to come to a show, come to a match, would you have done it?
I was asked, and I was going to do it. I was planning on doing it, and I went to a couple of Portland wrestling shows in Portland where they held at the local armory or some of those small gyms. So I was actually on TV calling matches or commenting on the matches during some of the matches. And I'm sure you guys must have heard of Playboy Buddy Rose, right?
Yep.
So Playboy Buddy Rose was a buddy of mine. He used to come on our radio show in Portland. So he said, "Hey, Michael, this was after, I was still playing. That's right." He says, "Michael, I want you to come be in my corner when I wrestle Rip Oliver." I don't know if you guys ever heard of Rip Oliver, but he's one of the local wrestlers up there, and you could Google him, Rip Oliver. And anyway, so I was going to be in sort of like Buddy's corner, and it's a fight against Rip Oliver, and we were talking about it on the air and on TV, and I was doing my tough guy talk. "That's right, Buddy Rose. I want to be right there to back you up against Rip Oliver. I'll be there for you, buddy. I'll watch your back." So anyway, I was talking all that trash, right? I act like a tough guy. And then Rip Oliver comes on TV and says, "Hey, Michael, if you show up, I'm going to break your arm." And so I didn't show up.
That's fair. That makes a lot of sense, actually, when you lay out that way.
You know what? I thought it was, I don't know if it was a bit. I don't know if it was an act, but he looked so serious and sounded so serious. I say, man, I'm not going there to watch Buddy's back. I think I'll just quietly back out, because I thought he looked serious to me. So he threatened to do bodily harm to me. So said to break some of my limbs. So I didn't show up for that match, Buddy Rose versus Rip Oliver. But I had every intention of being there ringside, but I think Rip Oliver convinced me not to show up.
That's amazing. So I did think there, Jeremy, he mentioned the Rodman-Malone deal. I wanted to ask you, Michael, if you could pick two guys from the NBA right now and to set up some kind of like cross-promotional wrestling match, who are in opposing corners there, Michael, in the league right now? Who are you thinking?
Oh, that's a good one. I guess it doesn't really matter about the size, because, nobody's weighed 300 pounds in the league anymore. The biggest guy in the league weight-wise would probably be Joel Embiid. But who would do a good job in the ring if you put them in the ring like Rodman and Malone did of today's players? Let's see, you got to think of two guys who don't get along. And I would put Russell Westbrook would be one of them, because he looks like he always wants to fight everybody and doesn't like anyone. So Russell Westbrook versus, let's see, who does Russ have Russell Westbrook versus Rajon Rondo, because we saw them guys get into it during the playoffs, this current playoffs, and Rondo's brother would have to be ringside too, or in Rondo's corner, because they had a little feud going on. You remember when Russell Westbrook went after Rondo's brother, and then Rondo and Westbrook were talking trash, and they talked trash about each other after the game. So yeah, Westbrook versus Rondo. I think the WWE or AEW should try to bring those guys together, like how they brought in Mike Tyson a couple of months ago.
I'm in. I'm with this, yes.
I think there's no shortage of opponents for Russell Westbrook. Patrick Beverley, Joel Embiid, Kevin Durant. Russell Westbrook, his only friend is Spalding, is what he says.
It's another one too. Patrick Beverley and Damian Lillard. Remember, they got into it too.
There you go.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Did you ever talk wrestling with the Bus family? Because I know Jeannie got into wrestling with the women of wrestling on Access.
That's right, she did. No, I never got a chance to talk wrestling with Jeannie or her brothers or with Dr. Buss. I wish I did, because you're right, Jeannie was interested in that for a while. If I ever see her, I'll have to ask her about bringing that back again.
So we do want to close this NBA talk in a second, but first, this feels like a fitting question to close out the wrestling talk for now. You know all about being a top draft pick, Mychal, right? That's like, we're never going to have someone else on this show that is an actual specialist in that regard, okay? So with that in mind, let's say that the Mychal Thompson wrestling promotion is starting next month. You have one pick for your top guy in the whole industry. Who are you taking with that number one pick?
You're talking about all time, no matter, everybody say 20, 21 years of age?
For the sake of podcast content, let's have an all-time name as well as someone that's active today. Let's do both.
So does he have to be active today?
Active and all time.
Yeah.
Oh, all time. The wrestler I would pick all time to start any wrestling business with, or the headline any card. There's only one guy, and I don't even have to say his name. All I got to do is go, woo! Who do you think that is?
Charlotte Flair.
Not quite. I said guy, not girl.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ric Flair. Ric Flair is the greatest wrestler ever. The way he can talk trash, back it up in the ring, put on a show. So Ric Flair would be my number one choice of any wrestler of all time. Wrestler currently today, who would I pick to start my promotion with? You know who even though, let me think. I think I would go with MJF, Maxwell Jacob Friedman. This guy, not only can he work in the ring, man, his personality, him and Wardlow, those guys are great. When MJF is on the screen, he can deliver. He can deliver a promo. He's got the best mic skills in AEW.
That's a strong pick. And he's young too, right? You have a whole future ahead of you building around MJF. That's strong.
He's very young. He is the perfect heel. He makes people just want to watch and want to pull against him, or whatever. He just knows how to promote.
We've got Lakers and Nuggets Game 4 coming up. What's your confidence level right now after the way Game 2 and Game 3 played out?
Very confident. I've seen LeBron respond after losses this year and in the past, and he's the best leader in the game. So, and he's got the best player in the game playing with him in Anthony Davis. So I expect the Lakers to respond in a positive way today, in a very productive way. It'll be a tough game, but I expect the Lakers to win this one today and retake control of the series.
So in fear of looking too far ahead, because I know that's a big no-no, I understand, but which of the Eastern Conference final teams do you think matches up better for the Lakers' sake? Like, who are you more confident playing, the Heat or the Celtics?
I'm confident playing either one of them, because I picked the Lakers to win the title anyway. Mm-hmm. But matching up better, probably, well, they're both very good. They're both very versatile. But the way the Miami Heat are playing right now with their toughness, the toughness that they're showing that Pat Riley toughness that's been transferred down to Eric Spoelstra and the way he coaches the team. And they have such mental toughness in Miami. I think that'll be the tougher matchup, because those guys don't hold up. They don't shrink from the challenge. They are showing that they are mentally tough enough to win a title.
What was your biggest disappointment in the bubble? Because, I mean, we had a lot of collapses. The Bucks, the Clippers, the Rockets. I don't know if the Rockets collapsed, but they came in with high hopes. What was the biggest disappointment for you in the bubble?
Well, obviously everybody knows it's the Clippers, because we all thought this would be a Lakers-Clippers series. We were shocked, or at least I was, that Denver beat them, especially coming back from down 1-3. So the biggest disappointment for us in L.A. is we didn't get the L.A. matchup that we thought we would be getting.
What happened to Paul George in that series? You can bury Paul George. We're not... Dude,
I'm not going to do that. I love Paul George. He could play for me any day. He's a very good player. He just didn't, he had a tough series. And all great players have had a tough series, no matter who you are. I remember watching Michael Jordan in his younger days before he started winning titles. He had tough series. So it happens. But Paul George, man, I like his game. He's an all-around player. And even though he had a tough Game 7, he could play for me anytime. He's
a great player. I need him to do something more in the playoffs. I saw it 2 years in OKC. Yeah. Just very disappointing.
You know, and don't give up on it. And don't give up on the Clippers because they're going to be right there again next year. They ain't going anywhere. Paul George is what, 29? Kawhi is just about 29. So these guys are still in their prime. They're not going anywhere. They'll be right back in the thick of things next year.
This has been a very positive podcast, so I don't want to dwell on this subject. But, Michael, I do need to ask, because you're an expert in the field, I need to ask, I'm a Philadelphia 76ers fan. Can you help me? What do we do?
Sixers have enough to compete in the East. Anytime you have Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid, that's two great building blocks. And they've got good players around them. So they'll get a new coach. We don't know who it'll be. But what I would do to improve Philadelphia, if I was on the coaching staff, I would make sure that Joel Embiid would play in the low block a lot more. It's back to the basket, closer to the basket, because when he's in the lane, he's like Shaq. He's unstoppable. Yeah, he can shoot threes. He'll knock him down around a 30% clip. But he's so big and strong and talented, I'd have him closer to the basket more often. That's the change I think Philadelphia needs to make for next year going forward.
So I know that Jeremy has a closing sort of statement, so I'm going to leave that for him. Quickly pivoting back to pro wrestling, this Sunday is Clash of Champions. Do you have any takes on this pay-per-view card that we have failed to have any interesting opinions for? Do you have anything to say about this card? Any matches that stand out? Any kind of opinions on this Sunday show?
No, I mean, I can't see the cards. The matches don't really intrigue me. I mean, I think Drew McIntyre will retain his championship. I guess, let's see, the women's championship, I would like to see them put the belt on, because Asuka doesn't do it for me. So if they could change titles for the women's division, put the belt, I'd like to see them put the belt on, let me think. How about put the belt on Peyton Royce? Put the belt on her.
Strong. Peyton Royce advocate. I like that. Last one, Michael, before I let you go. Your son is Klay Thompson. He completely crushed my hopes and dreams in 2016. Can I get an apology for him for what he did to me in 2016, Game 6?
Against your Thunder?
Yes.
Well, I mean, sure. I mean, no, because he can't apologize to you guys because it doesn't really matter because you still had one more game to win, right? So you still, even though you lost that game, you still had a chance to win Game 7. So it was your fault that you guys didn't win the next game.
I wasn't shooting the shots, Michael. It's not my fault.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, but that was something to see, and hopefully he'll be back and putting up those kind of numbers again next year.
I love Klay as a player. I like that he's a chess fan. Did you guys play chess growing up? Is that why he's so into it?
No, I've never played chess. I always want to learn. Two things I want to learn how to do is play chess and play poker. Not to gamble in poker, but just that it's such a craze that everybody knows how to play things in America except me. But chess is intriguing, and I wanted to teach me how to learn chess. I'm more of a backgammon and checkers guy. But chess looks intriguing, and one of these days I'm just going to have him sit down for an hour and teach me what the moves are and what the concept's all about.
Again, I love Klay as a player. I'd take him on my team any day. I'm still heartbroken by what he did in that Game 6. I don't know if I'll ever get over it.
Well, you guys just got to draft more Hardens, KD, and Westbrook, and you guys will be right back in business.
And we tried that, and it still didn't work. We got
Listen,
Shea.
Jeremy,
We're all right.
You're not getting the apology.
I know.
You're not getting an apology.
I know.
You have to accept it, okay?
Michael, we really appreciate you joining us on the show today. Where can people find you at on social media, and anything else you have to plug?
Well, I'm always on Twitter. Just Champagne and Nuts. It's not A-N-D, just Champagne and there's an N in the middle of nuts. And between champagne and nuts. So champagne and nuts because that's my favorite snack when I'm watching my favorite TV shows.
Strong Twitter username. I appreciate that very much. Yes.
Michael, again, thank you for your time today. We really appreciate it. And come back anytime. If you ever want to just bullshit about wrestling, let us know.
Hell yeah. Yeah, anytime you want to talk about wrestling, you know where to find me.
Thank you, Michael.
Yes,
have a good day.
Yes. Thank you.